So here's what I like to tell people. We think the opposite of stuck is unstuck, and it's not. The opposite of stuck is action.
Welcome to the InFlow Podcast. I am your host, Michelle Bosch. I see a gaping hole across society that focuses on the outer work and forgets about the inner work, when what we really need is to bridge the gap between prosperity and spirituality to live a life in flow, with inflows of light, inflows of cash, inflows of creativity, inflows of grace in our lives. Each week, join me for powerful messages and interviews that will leave you inspired and ready to step into flow in your higher work. So now, let's go. Welcome to the InFlow Podcast. I'm your host. I am excited to have with me today the foremost productivity expert in the country, Mrs. Tanya Dalton, and she is a best-selling author, speaker, nationally recognized productivity expert, growth strategist for female entrepreneurs. She's a founder and CEO of InFlow Productivity. I mean, you're going to see her tools and her, her products. She has actual physical products in Office Depot, Office Max, Barnes and Nobles. I mean, this woman is the real deal, and I am so excited to have her here with me today. Welcome, Tanya, to the show. How are you?
I'm fabulous. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Thank you so much for being here. We were just prior to the recording, we had been chatting, thinking that we had already hit recording, and so we're just gonna basically take it from where we were. And I'm going to ask you, Tanya. So how did you decide that you're going to become a productivity expert? How did this all come about? I understand you had a different business prior. You actually have a background in teaching. And so How did you decide that productivity, and specifically for women, was what you're here on this earth to do, that it's part of your purpose? And now you've built a multi-million-dollar company, from that purpose and from that real essence of who you are.
Yeah. So I started, my first business in 2008, and I grew that business where my husband was working alongside of me. He started working for me in about 2009. And in 2013, I looked at him and I said, I love you. I love working with you, but I don't love what we're creating. I didn't love what the business was doing. It wasn't making the impact I really wanted in the world. And he said, okay, great. What do you want to do? And I'm like, I have no idea. So I sat down and I gave myself some space. I gave myself some time to really explore, what am I really put on this earth to do? So I started doing some exercises for myself and really honing in on
which probably goes along with your book and The Joy of Missing Out. You talk about finding clarity.
Yes. And that's the thing, is we have to step back sometimes from our businesses. So sometimes we have to step back from our lives, because our lives and our businesses are on autopilot. And we get in this mindset where it's like, well, this is just the way it is. This is just how life works. This is just how things are going to be until X, Y, and Z, right? Until I make, 7 figures, or until I hit 8 figures, or until I retire, or whatever it is that we're using as an excuse. Our lives are just on this autopilot. And it was me stopping and recognizing, I'm not happy. This is not fulfilling me. This is not making the impact I want. So when I did that, when I got off the merry-go-round, I could see, oh, yeah, this is not taking me where I want to go. So where is it I want to go? Well, I started figuring out, what are the things I'm really, really passionate about? What are the things that really light my soul on fire? And there were 3 things. You mentioned I was a teacher in my past life. So I love education. I love working with people. I love seeing the light bulb moments in their eyes. I love it when people take information and go and run with it and apply it to their lives. I also love empowering women. I was doing a lot of small business consulting, especially for women business owners. And I loved having the opportunity to speak to other women who were interested in growing their business while growing their personal life at the same time. Women are we're very unique in that we are the CEOs of the office, but we're also the CEOs of the home. So there's a lot of things that we do where we're busy at work getting things done, and then we head home and then we're busy at home. Lots of things happening there. So I love that duality. And I love productivity. Productivity is what allowed me to scale and grow my business from $50, which is when I started my business. I had $50 and zero business experience. I scaled that so I could absorb my husband's MBA income in less than a year. And then it continued to grow. So I love those three things, but they seemed very disconnected. So I connected them together to create Inkwell Press Productivity Co., which is a productivity company focused in on helping redefine productivity for women through the tools and the trainings and the podcasts and the books and all of those things.
That is amazing. Now, that was a courageous choice. That is a courageous choice. And that was a choice that basically equated with the outcome that you wanted. You wanted a lifestyle. You wanted to bring your husband home. You wanted, to really enjoy, your kids growing up together. And one thing about productivity, that we even discussed during when we teach land flipping is delegation, is automation. It's basically you identifying what are the few, because there's just a few things that you're really have a superior competency and that you love doing, and everything else should be basically done by someone else.
Yes,
and
deleted
that's what you're all
or delegated.
About.
Absolutely. This is the thing is I have redefined productivity. So it's not about doing more. It's doing what is most important. And I think this is the thing that we see with a lot of these productivity experts. It's all about getting things done, checking things off your list, getting more done, hustle, 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 go, go, go. How to do 5 million things in 10 minutes. And I'm like, whoa, why don't we stop and ask ourselves, do we even want to do those 5 million things?
Yeah.
Do we really want those things? Because truly, when we focus in on the things that are most important, our priorities, whether that's in our personal life or in our business or in our relationships, any area of our life, when we focus in on what's most important, we pour ourselves more fully in that, right? Yeah. And then we're more successful and we end up feeling satisfied. I mean, how many times have, as the listeners, asking the listeners this, how many times have you checked 1,000 things off your to-do list, run around busy all day long, gotten 1,000 things done, fall into bed at night and think, oh, why didn't I get more done? Why didn't I work harder? Even though you were busy all day long. It's because we're not doing the things that really matter most to us. We're
busy
so
movement.
Busy. Yes. We're so busy trying to do all the things. We don't stop to ask ourselves, do I want these things at all? Yeah. And that's the big difference when we start to really clarify what is most important to us and we step into those more fully. That's when we start to see a difference in our lives, for sure.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. We talk about this all the time inside of our program and how to basically identify that genius and basically focus on those things that in the real estate investing business are going to move the needle the most. And in that you're going to have to plan a little bit ahead your week, that you're going to have to do some time blocking, that you're going to have to, and as the week progresses, priorities will shift. And at the end of the day, every day is going to be an exercise in identifying if there's one thing that I can do today to move the ball forward, what is that one thing? And that's, I think, a critical skill to learn, to identify, to prioritize what is that one thing that is kind of like a domino, has that domino effect,
Well, it kind of goes against the whole hustle culture. It really does. There's a glorification of busy that happens in our world where it's like, how are you? Busy. That's how everyone responds. Oh, I'm busy. Yeah. Lots going on. Yeah. Busy doesn't mean you're happy. Busy doesn't mean you're satisfied. Busy doesn't mean you're growing your business. Busy just means you're spinning yourself in circles, wearing yourself out. If you chose instead to do fewer things and do them extraordinarily well, not only would you fall into bed at night feeling more satisfied, feeling more successful, but you actually would be more successful. You would be making more money. You would be having better relationships. You would be happier in your day-to-day life by doing the things that really matter the most to us. And that's a difficult choice to make at times because there is this whole, heavy current of you got to do more, hashtag all the things, doing all the things. And it's not about doing all the things. It's doing fewer things extraordinarily well. That's how we achieve happiness. That's how we achieve success ultimately on our own terms.
Yeah. In its simplicity, is the key to prosperity as well. I always,
Yes.
have that, like, that's kind of my mantra. So it goes along with that. Now, a relationship, I always like asking, the ladies that I come, is there a relationship that has been instrumental to your growth, to where you're at right now, and to perhaps even making, the courageous choices that you've made so far?
Yes, absolutely. I have to say, it's women like you who I've met through like our group, the Trust, who are high achieving, who have the abundance mindset and have that openness to be able to have these conversations. I think those relationships that I have with women like that, like you, have made the biggest difference in my lives, because I can see that they have made choices in their life that go against the status quo, and that gives me more confidence to do that myself. It also shows me that I can run business on my own terms. And I think that's incredibly powerful to understand and to accept, to feel welcomed, I think, into a group where you're free to be yourself and to define success in the way that you want to define it. I think that is really helpful in normalizing what we go through as entrepreneurs, as, people who are investing, as these women who are strong and powerful. Surrounding yourself with other like-minded people who are on that same trajectory, who are there not just cheering you on, because cheering you on is great, but they're also the ones to kind of kick you in the butt when you need it. Like, come on, you got to get up, you got to keep going, right? Like, can't wallow too long. That's what we do for each other. And I think that is one of the most powerful things that I've ever experienced, is these deeper relationships with aligning myself with women like you. That has made a gigantic difference in how I see myself and how I see my future. When we see these choices that these women have made, it changes everything. It shows me so many doors, so many opportunities that are just there for the taking. And that's when everything shifts, I think, when you start to see that.
Exactly. Because, I think there's so much opportunity, but our courage hasn't caught up to the opportunity. Then you come together, to these groups. I see, women that are filling out, back before pandemic, a 5,000 person arena. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman has some balls. And that gives me the permission to be brave, to be courageous, to go for big things, and to make the choice to say, no, I'm not just a multiple 7-figure, I'm an 8-figure, business owner and start owning that identity even more, making a choice to own that identity even more. If you haven't been there, it's not a fake it till you make it imposter. It's almost like stepping into it and really embracing it and owning it for sure.
Yeah. What if we stop saying fake it till you make it and change it to believe it until you become it? Exactly. We have to have the belief. And what happens is when we see it in other people, we see what is possible, what they have achieved, we can believe that in ourselves. It becomes so much easier to believe that. And when we believe, here's the thing. We've heard that saying that you receive, right? What we believe is what we achieve. Well, what we believe is what we achieve, and that's what we receive. And then that becomes this like beautiful cycle of we just believe more and we achieve more. It's 100% about the mindset.
Flow, Tanya, you're talking about flow right now. Yes. More.
Absolutely.
I love that. Now, so I know you're coming up with a new book. I know you're teaching also a masterclass that is coming up, on exactly courageous choices for women. Tell us a little bit more about it. How can I'm definitely interested. I'm going to be participating on it. Because I'm always inspired, by what other women are doing, and just being in a community with other ladies is inspiring. We can all learn from each other. So tell us about that.
Yes. So the new book that's coming out in October with HarperCollins is all about the power of choice. It's called On Purpose, The Busy Woman's Guide to an Extraordinary Life of Meaning and Success. I mean, this is the thing, is extraordinary is a choice. And I think understanding that it's a series of choices that gets us to that extraordinary life is incredibly powerful. So I created this online experience that I wanted women to see other powerful women like you, because you're going to be speaking at the event. I wanted them to see how they made courageous choices, because like we said earlier, when you see other people who've made choices, it gives you permission to do the same, to dream not just big, but to dream bigger, to dream audaciously, to step into whatever it is you're wanting to do, even if it goes against the status quo, even if it goes against what everyone else tells you they think you should do. It really allows you to ground in on your own intuition, on your own belief in who you are, and stand taller and stronger. And so I wanted to create an event where I had all these powerful women. We have 3 women who are going to be live every day talking about their own courageous choices. A lot of them are talking about things they've never talked about. These are things that have happened behind the scenes, but these were choices that they made in their lives that have gotten them to the success. To being on the TEDx stages, or being a best-selling author, or making 7, 8, 9 figures. All of those things are because they've made choices. So I have this event where I want to create this synergy in your lives, where you see what is possible, that all these doors are there for the taking. So if your listeners are interested in joining, and I'd love to see them there, it's tanyadalton.com/choice. Where you can sign up. It's a free event, 5 days, 15 amazing, powerful, incredible women who are really just peeling back the curtain and sharing what choices they have made so that you can feel really empowered to make choices for yourself.
I can't wait, Tanya. I am all over that. Thank you so much. Now, if you had one last piece of advice for a woman listening out there, what would that be?
I love this question because, a lot of times when I speak to women, I'll say, how are things going? How are you doing? And they'll say, I just feel stuck. So here's what I like to tell people. We think the opposite of stuck is unstuck, and it's not. The opposite of stuck is action, taking action. One small action. Doesn't have to be giant, doesn't have to be big, could be tiny, could be minute, could be itty bitty, but just choosing to take action, whether that is investing in something for yourself, or attending an event like what we just talked about here with the courageous choice, or choosing to believe in yourself and taking the steps to redefine who you are. Taking action is how we get unstuck. And once you've taken that first step, that momentum is there. It is so much easier to take that second step and the third step and the fourth step. And the next thing you know, you're off and running.
Beautiful. We couldn't end on a better note, Tanya. Thank you so very much for being my guest. I'm looking forward to next week. I will be there learning from all these other women, and really just stepping into even higher levels of more courage, for myself, to engineer new levels of growth for all of us. When one of us rises, everyone else rises. And I'm excited to participate in this masterclass with all these amazing women. And I hope, we have a ton of the ladies here from the land profit world joining us over there. So I hope to see you there. Thank you so much, Tanya. It was such a pleasure. And wow, yes, I am excited to see you here sometime in September, right? You're going to be in Arizona.
Yes, I will see you very soon. I'm excited about that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope this episode left you feeling inspired and ready to get inflows of cash, inflows of light, and inflows of faith in your life. I welcome your reviews on iTunes. Please leave me a review and help me create an amazing community of women in flow. Thank you, as always, for sharing your voice by going to michellebosch.com and joining the conversation about this show. And while you're there, grab a copy of my 10 Commandments to Living a Life in Flow. You can also follow me on Facebook at Michelle Bosch and on Instagram at Michelle Bosch Official. Thank you very much, and until the next one.